just like the figures, okay? Right there. So the white matter is around the outside, okay? Those are columns, or funiculi, okay? And they have the most logical names. So this is the posterior or dorsal funiculus or column. Okay? This is the lateral funiculus or column. Okay? This is the anterior or ventral funiculus or column, okay? That's the white matter. The gray matter is on the inside, looks like a little butterfly or something like that. Okay? So these back here are the posterior horns, and these here are the anterior horns. The important thing to remember about the anterior horns is that's where the motor neurons are. The nerves that connect out to the muscles originate in these cell bodies here. If you look under the microscope, there's these huge cells in there.
So that'd be part of the descending tract.
These are they give rise to what's called the lower motor neuron. Okay, the tract is actually in the spinal cord, so the descending tract comes down in synapses with these guys.
Okay.
That's the corticospinal tract. Okay. Okay, and then across here, that little connection, that's the gray commissure.
The what?
Gray commissure. It's on them.
It is on those?
Right there, it's like the bar of the H or the body of the butterfly or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Commissure means connection. And that little hole right there, that's the central canal. So the central canal corresponds to the ventricles. Okay. It's the same sort of thing. The spinal cord originally was a hollow tube and it just formed around that central canal. Okay. And then this structure right here, anterior median fissure, because it's anterior, it's in the middle, and it's deep, so it's a fissure. This is the posterior median sulcus, because it's posterior, it's in the middle, and it's not as deep as this one, so it's called the sulcus. Okay? God, I hate to have this thing fall. All right, so, and on the outside, these structures are called the roots, okay? So there's a posterior or dorsal root, and an anterior or ventral root. So this root is coming from those anterior motor horns, so it carries the motor fibers. Okay, they're going out to the muscles. This root, the posterior one, is coming from this dorsal root ganglion. It carries the sensory fibers. Okay? So sensory fibers, motor fibers, they come out and they combine. That's the spinal nerve right there. Okay, so the spinal nerve that you see, this right here is going to be the intervertebral foramen. Okay, it's exiting there. When it comes out, it's combined. But inside the spinal cord, it's separate. And that little structure right there is the dorsal root ganglion. It's on the other side. There's the dorsal root ganglion. Okay, so that's all that's on that list. And then the fun part. So that's a vertebrae. So what kind of vertebrae is it?
C1.
Not necessarily. It's probably not C1, but it's cervical. And how do we know it's cervical?
Because of the foramina?
Yeah, there's the foramina, okay?
Foramina.
Yeah, the transverse foramina. Well, foramina is, yeah. So in this case, you actually see the arteries in there. They're not holes, okay? So those are the vertebral arteries. And then the other thing is that there's that bifid spinous process that also tells you. Okay, so it's kind of nice. It's a nice little model.